Welcome, everyone. We are back with another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. I am Diana Catherine Penn, your host, and today my guest on the program is Christine Devane. She is a children's book author, and she's written a couple of books. She's going to read one of them for us today, and that book is entitled Elephant Beach. Welcome, Christine.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Thank you for coming. I love elephants. I wrote a children's book myself about elephants, and so I'm really super excited to hear your story. But before we get into the story, I'd like to hear a little bit of your about your background. How did you get started writing?
Sure. So I think that the whole process of writing started when I was little because I truly enjoyed reading books, especially about animals. I wanted to be a vet, but I cannot stomach blood, so that dream went out the window.
I
So
understand that.
as I grew older, I really was drawn to working with children and teaching. And when I was a teacher, I loved story time because it was a great time of the day to sit with the kids, have a lot of discussions. And most books teach a lot of social skills. So it was nice to be able to talk to the kids and have them be involved in the conversation. And I realized there really weren't a lot of books on shy kids. And I grew up very shy. And being a teacher, I always had shy students in my class. And it's difficult. Not everybody understands being shy. Parents sometimes have a hard time with it. So do teachers. So
Sure.
I decided to write my own book and I joined a few different author groups. I started going to classes and I sent my book everywhere. And then I really didn't hear from anybody till last year and it got published in April. So here we are.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. I love it
Thank
when
you.
I love it when debut authors come on the program because we learn about different approaches that each author takes to produce a book. And we all do it differently. I don't think there are any right or wrong answers in the realm of creativity and book creation. So tell us a little bit about your process. Did you start with story first? Did you start with illustrations first? Did you start with I know one of my stories came along because I was reading a bedtime story to my son when he was very little. How how is your process in that beginning, middle, and end kind of format?
So I started with the character. I knew that I wanted to show a girl that was shy. And growing up, I always enjoyed elephants. I thought they were funny. My grandparents and parents used to bring me back elephants when they traveled. And I just think they're very warm, kind, caring creatures. They travel in herds, they take care of their family. So I thought that they would be great for helping a shy girl. And I thought they would be the perfect character for the book. And then lastly, I tried to think of where it would take place, the setting, and I always enjoyed going to the beach when I was younger, and a lot of kids like the beach, and most can identify with the beach. So I kind of put that all together. And then I joined critique groups. And what I did was I took my story, and every month we would meet and we would bring our stories, and then people would give you feedback because, as you know, with children's books, there's not a lot of words, so they have to
Right.
matter. And it was nice to have other people give you feedback because my parents and my family are very nice, but they're going to read it and say, "This is wonderful."
Of
So,
course, yes. It's good to have an objective opinion on those things.
yeah. So I
Awesome.
wanted other people to read it first. And then once the publishing company reached out to me last year, they are a self-publishing company. I designed all of the images. So I basically told them how I wanted all of the pictures to look. And then we went back and forth about how the pictures were going to be because as much as you can picture it in your head and you can write it down on the paper, when they design the pictures, there's also things that you're going to miss. So there was one
Absolutely.
picture where there was an empty space and I had them add a sign and things like that. So we went back and forth doing the pictures for a little while, but for the most part, it was pretty easy doing the pictures and just going back and forth
Kind of
about
like
how we
working with a
wanted.
police sketch artist sometimes,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, because
Uh,
you picture it in your head, but then explaining it to somebody and then seeing how they draw it and illustrate it, it is different. That's a good way to put it.
it's that's how I've always imagined it when I work with my illustrators is I feel like I'm describing a murder scene or something where the police sketch artist has to draw it out and we keep going back and forth to fine tune the details.
Yep, that's exactly what we did.
I think it's really fun that you set your story on the beach. The idea of elephants on a beach is always fun. I love that idea. And I'm really looking forward to having you read the book. So, Christine Devane, when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud from Elephant Beach.
Sure. And I'm very excited to be here reading the book. So here it is, Elephant Beach. If you're a quiet kid like me, don't go to an elephant beach. Don't go to an elephant beach because the elephants will accidentally break your beach chair. One of them will pop your floaty with her tusk when she tries to use it. When you move to a new spot, their shadows will block the sun, making it seem like nighttime. The ground will shake when the elephants dance, making a sandy mess on your towel. They will serve their volleyball out of bounds onto your beach bag. When you return the volleyball, they will invite you to play, but you will say no thanks and go back to reading. You will hear them cheering, but block them out with headphones. Smash! The volleyball will land on your book. You will return it again, but stay to watch, just for a few minutes. You will start to think the game looks fun. Wow, you will score a point. After the games, they will make huge waves for you to surf in. One elephant will share her big towel with you so that you can dry off. The elephants will get scared and scream when they see a tiny hermit crab. You will think they are silly and show them not to be afraid. They will loudly cheer and trumpet their trunks. They will offer you some of their enormous elephant lunch, and you will say yes. You will give them beach hats even if they look silly. One elephant will play music loudly and teach you elephant dances. Together, you will build the biggest sand castle. You will read them stories and sing silly songs. You will not want to go home. They will give you elephant hugs when you leave. So please don't go to an elephant beach if you want to have a fun beach day. And that is the end.
That's lovely. What a cute story. I love that.
Thank you.
So flip through the book for me, and I'd like to know what your favorite illustration in this book was, if you could show us that.
Sure.
Everyone has a
This one,
favorite.
this one's my favorite because at this point, the girl is showing the elephants that she's brave and she's showing them not to be afraid of the crab. So at first, the girl was nervous to join the group. Now she's in the group and she's also showing them how brave she is. And I just think it's a funny picture. So this one's my favorite.
It's very, very cute. Thank you for sharing that. So, what was
No
the
problem.
hardest part about writing a storybook for children? What was your biggest challenge?
Just minimizing the words. So going back and editing and taking out some words, and then also making sure that the words were kid appropriate and that the kids would be able to read it by themselves and with a grown up. So just figuring out the words, I think, was the hardest.
And what was the easiest part for you?
I think the easiest was definitely coming up with the characters because since I've always loved elephants, I think that was easy for me to pick an elephant. And Also, I wanted the girl to have red hair because I have red hair. There's not a lot of characters out there besides Ariel that has red hair. So I think that
Sure.
those things those things were pretty easy, but yeah, I think counting down the words was tough.
Well, but if having red hair associates you with a princess of the ocean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying
Yeah,
there's not a ton
right.
of books with redheads, so I wanted to put a
Yeah.
redhead in there. And it's funny, I imagined her with red hair, and I wrote this before I had my daughter, and she has red hair. So now people say, "Oh, was that Adeline in the book?" So it's funny.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's great. I love that. And then maybe your daughter will grow to see herself in that story as well.
Yes, so she loves looking at my books, and she loves the fact that my pictures on them. And in my second book, there are pictures in the book, so they like that.
So tell us a little bit about the second book, and then maybe we'll have you back to read that one.
Sure. So the second book just came out and it's called Lola and Sophie's ABC Adventure. And this book was inspired by my children because they love alphabet books. And I wanted to write my own. And Sophie is my dog now. She is a rescue pup and she can get into trouble. And Lola was my dog. Unfortunately, she passed away, but she had a very big personality. She was very glamorous. She had to have a jacket on every time she went outside. She was a lap dog. So I thought it would be funny to put the two dogs together. And I also wanted to highlight the fact that Sophie was adopted. I used to volunteer at an animal shelter, and I know how important pet adoption is. So I
Absolutely.
have
That's
Sophie.
very important work. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Sophie's story in the back of the book, and I plan on bringing it to different animal shelters and hoping that it will help people out there to realize that pets need homes, but there's also other ways to help animal shelters. You can donate things. They're always looking for towels, blankets, all those things. So I'm hoping that the book helps in that sense.
That's an awesome idea. Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the program today. I'm so glad to have met you, and I look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to coming back.
Have a great new year.
You too.